Hello. This is a video that I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be going through my record collection. It's a thing that a lot of people do online nowadays. A lot of people like to have lists, show their collections off and stuff like that. I have a pretty decent collection. I wouldn't really call myself a record collector per se, but I've been collecting for probably about 10 years now, and I love music. I play music myself. It's a passion, and it's a hobby, and it's an interest, and I would love to show people what I have and, um, you know, compare interests, stuff like that. If people want to talk about certain bands, and I love to show people new bands perhaps that they haven't seen before, or to give some information on certain records that aren't as popular or people aren't as aware about. And I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, first and foremost, so there's going to be some local stuff here that some people may have never heard of before. And a bit of a disclaimer as well, I play music, so there are a couple records that I'm featured on, and I was going to not include those, but then I figured they're part of my collection and I'm proud of them and they're cool records. Sounds funny to say that, but I just figured I'd include it anyways, just just to show the complete collection in its entirety. So I'll probably inform you when I get upon a record that has that. So just that's my disclaimer to start this video off. So, and also this is in alphabetical order, and I have an alphabetical order, and the artists I have listed obviously based on what album was released before another, so in chronological order. So I'm going to start it off, and the first part of this video is just going to be from A to J. So that's where I'm starting off, and actually I don't have anything that starts with A. So the first record in my collection is a band from Halifax called Bad Vibrations. This is the album. It is called Black Train. Great band. I don't think they play much anymore. All the members have been in multiple Halifax bands. They're all playing currently in newer bands. We got Casey, we got Meg, and we got Evan right there. They're kind of hard to see. It's like a see. They're kind of see-through in the picture. And these pictures were taken here in Halifax. There's some train tracks that go throughout the city, so I'm not exactly sure where. Probably down in the south end somewhere, if I was to guess. But yeah, this is a pretty good album. It's released on Brotherhood Records, which is Casey and Evan. These two guys here. They put some stuff out on that. They're members of Husband and Knife. Meg plays in Not You. Anyways, all three of them great musicians. Great people, great album. This is a great band to check out. Bad Vibrations. That's record number one. Second record here. So this is a greatest hits that was given to me by a friend years ago. It's called The Band, the very best of the band. Not much needs to really be said about the band. The back, I like the back cover. It's kind of like a collage of different pictures of the band, different album artworks. The record basically features all of their biggest hits. Great group. Yeah, this an all-time classic. You can't really go wrong ever listening to any of these songs. Yeah, really great album by a bunch of great guys. So this is Endless Summer by the Beach Boys. Not really an album per se. It's basically just a greatest hits. Has some cool artwork. Obviously, the artwork is really cool. It's just a lot of their earlier material. Yeah, it's a cool record. I love the Beach Boys. I definitely am more of a fan of their Pet Sounds era stuff. But I mean, you do have some classics on here. You got In My Room, Help Me Rhonda. You know, the more innocent, surfy, sunny day Beach Boy songs that they obviously got famous from. And you can never hate those songs because they're classics, but yeah, this is just a cool little collection of songs that my buddy gave to me. And I just really like the artwork as well. I mean, that's just a classic, that's a classic artist hand-drawn picture right there. So we're into the Beatles territory here. I sound like the most unoriginal person in the world, but they're probably my all-time favorite band. It's just I have so much history with them. Their music, they're one of those bands you can kind of walk away from and just come right back to them, and nothing's changed. It's just they constantly just surprise me and blow me away with how great their songs are, and every record is just like coming back to an old friend or an old sound that you know. Anyways, no, never. You don't need to say much else about the Beatles, but Rubber Soul, great album. Not my favorite Beatles album. There's some really great songs on this, and I love the cover. I mean, it's one of their classic covers, but it's not my favorite. There's some great songs, but actually, at one point, I think I was really into this album, but I don't think I'd even put it in my top 5 Beatles albums. But now that I'm looking at the song titles, I mean, there are some actually kind of songs on this one. Anyways, enough said about this record. Rubber Soul, everyone knows it. Here we got Let It Be. I don't have a whole lot of Beatles records, but anyways, Let It Be. Everyone knows this one, of course, as well. It's got a bit of a bad rap from certain Beatles fans because it's their, last album, and it's like the rock and roll album. Some people kind of didn't really think it was, it was when they weren't really a band anymore. They were just kind of goofing around. The Phil Spector overproduced sound. Obviously, Let It Be Naked is out there. This is the original. But I love this album. I mean, this is an incredible album. I don't know what else to say about this album, but I love it. It's I don't know if I put that in my top 5 as well. Actually, depends on the day. Depends on the day you ask me. On the other hand, you got Abbey Road. I got this record actually at the flea market and at the Halifax Forum. This guy sold it to me for $1, and the record is actually in pretty decent shape. There are some scratches. It plays, but I mean, who can say no to $1 for Abbey Road, And this album is just insane. Well, I mean, you got Maxwell Silverhammer on it. And, other than that, great album. I love this album. I went to London a couple years ago, and I did the classic walk across Abbey Road. That was fun, just one of those things where you walk by it and you're like, wow, that's it. That's the crosswalk, Anyways, great album. The last 5 songs, the suite of songs that all combine into one, and then of course conclude with the end. Just a great collection of songs. On to our last Beatles record in the collection here. This is Hey Jude. I always kind of forget the name of this one. Not a Beatles album. This is just like a collection, like a greatest hits / collection of B-sides. Songs that were actually, it's greatest hits, but it's songs that weren't actually on any records. So like Hey Jude, Revolution, Paperback Writer, they were all released as singles. Then you have songs like Rain and Old Brown Shoe that weren't on any records or really released as singles, but great songs, especially Rain. Battle of John and Yoko, another classic one. Don't Let Me Down. I love this album. Classic picture in the front and on the back here. I love how they're all super bearded, except Paul's got the super clean cut. I mean, it's just and I mean George here. Look at George. He just who looks cooler than George there? No one at all. That's the Beatles taken care of. The next 2 records. So this is where you get into territory with myself. So this is a band that I'm in. This is our first record, Bougie Boys. It was also actually released with a separate album cover as well, different colors. So that's it there. This is me and my buddy's band. They're all my good friends. I love them all. This is our first record. We recorded it with Charles Austin at the Echo Chamber in Halifax, and also recorded some parts with our buddy Luke Mumford, who also mixed and mastered it with us. Here's the back as well. It's just basically an alternate version of the front without us, just different color scheme with all the gear. We took the picture here in Cody, our buddy right here, Cody, his backyard at the time. We included all of our gear in the picture. He's holding his dog Devo. We set a bunch of gear, a bunch of amps, a bunch of skateboards, a bunch of stuff. It was fun picture, taken by Dylan Chu. This is our first album. Proud of it. Great album. I think it was good. So our next album, which came out, was called Weekend Rocker. This was actually a test press version. We took this picture. Dylan also took this picture as well. We took it over in Dartmouth. It's kind of a play on the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young Deja Vu album cover. Yeah, it's us just hanging out at a skate park. Devo once again in the picture here with Cody, right here. Yeah, fun little cover that we did. This is the actual album cover. So this is the album Weekend Rockers, or Weekend Rocker. This was taken by, I can't remember the photographer's name. It's in here somewhere, but it was taken at Pitt in Pittsburgh at a festival we played. And yeah, it was a wild night. You can see me just right here. That's Alex, our singer, and then Cody and Steve are like, on the ground here. This is, I think, near the end of our set when we were just, going nuts. Here's Adam, our bass player, up here playing acoustic. He's in a separate little photo. Our buddy Steve, the guy in the band, under Cody here in this picture. You can see his ass kind of right here. He made the album cover. He made the design. It's really cool. Here's the back of it. Just some other photos of the band playing live. Yeah, this was our second album. Proud of this one. We recorded this one with Luke Mumford, our buddy who helped us on the first one, at Adam and Luke's house on Pepperell Street in Halifax in the basement, and that was a really fun time. Fun times at that house. This was just a really great era of the band, and proud of this one, definitely. Okay, so this band, they're from Canada. They're called the Besnard Lakes. I was introduced to this band probably about 9 years ago, and this first album really blew me away. They have like a very psychedelic, big rock band sound, big productions, big weird instruments you don't normally hear, really crazy harmonies, very Beach Boys, Brian Wilson-esque harmonies. I saw them live a couple times. They played here in Halifax, and I saw them another time. Anyways, great album. Not my favorite album, but this is the first one I heard that really blew me away, and I love the album cover. I mean, it's called The Besnard Lakes Are the Dark Horse, and it's released by Jaguar, which is a great record label that have released tons of great records over the years. So this is their first record. The Besnard Lakes Are the Dark Horse. This is their, actually, sorry, my mistake. That's their second album. Their first one was called Volume 1, I think. So that's their second one. This is their third, called The Besnard Lakes Are the Roaring Night. Another very majestic painted album cover. The back has kind of a similar thing. And this was another album I heard. I actually, this album was out when I first heard The Dark Horse, so I had 2 albums to check out. I technically had 3, but the first album I didn't really get into as much, so the second and third were the ones that really sold me on the band. Another huge sounding album, big sounding songs, very beautiful, lush, symphonic songs. They sound kind of like a classic band, but newer kind of thing. And yeah, once again, the production values are insane. This was their 4th album, The Besnard Lakes. And so the title of this one, I like it, but it's kind of like, it's a little, what do you want to call it? Not pretentious, but I don't know. It's called Until in Excess, Imperceptible UFO. So that's that. There's the back cover. Once again, a very lush. Their album covers all kind of have this, pretty cover on the front. Anyways, this album came out in 2013, and shorter than their other ones, but I absolutely love this album. All the songs on it are everything can be said about this band that hasn't been said before by me earlier, is that they have huge sounds. Their songs are huge. The instrumentation, the melodies, they're catchy, but they're also very experimental. There's a couple actual like pop songs on this album that were really cool. Anyways, great band, underrated. I feel like they don't get enough attention. The Besnard Lakes, check them out. One of my all-time classic records right here. We got Volume 4 by Black Sabbath. This album is insane. I love this band. Yeah, like what else can be said about Black Sabbath? This album is a very rock, bluesy album. Wheels of Confusion, one of the best album openings ever. This one also has changes, so you know their big ballad song that they released. Supernaut, Laguna Sunrise, Under the Sun, Tomorrow's Dream. I mean, this is a great, great album by a band that I've loved for years, and this will always be a record that I can just put on, and it's just a great time. You'll always enjoy this album every time, no matter what. This is a band called Blood Pressure. So the singer in this band, I think he was the singer or the guitar player. We stayed at his house. His name is Eric. We stayed at his house when we were in Pittsburgh, when Bougie Boys were in Pittsburgh. As I mentioned before, he had a couple extra copies of his record. He gave it out. They're a hardcore band. The record's called Need to Control. And yeah, really nice guy. We stayed at his house. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for hosting us in Pittsburgh. I have not actually listened to this record, but it's cool to have it. So I'll probably check it out sometime. So it's Blood Pressure. This was a copy of a record that my mom owned. She gave it to me when I first got my record player. Classic album. As you can see, it still has the sticker. It's still in its plastic wrapping. It's opened, so like the record obviously is in here and you can take it out, but the plastic wrapping is on it, and I thought that was cool, so I decided to keep it on, obviously. And it has the price here, so I believe it was $9 or something. Anyways, this is obviously an all-time famous record. You can't really go wrong with this album. Classic artist, Bruce Springsteen. You all know who he is. You all know this record. Born in the USA. That's all that needs to be said about that. And the Byrds. One of my all-time favorite bands. Turn, Turn, Turn. This is a great album featuring Mr. David Crosby and Mr. Gene Clark right here. Great singer, one of my all-time favorite singers. His solo material, if you have not heard it, check it out. I don't own any of his records, but I absolutely love his solo songs, his solo albums. They're almost better than the Byrds, but I love his work in the Byrds. I love Roger McGuinn right here, his vocals, his guitar playing, all the rhythm section, the bass player and the drummer right here. Obviously David Crosby. This is a great album. Turn, Turn, Turn has a couple Bob Dylan covers, as most Byrds albums do, but this is a great album, and I love it. Not my favorite Byrds album, but I love this album. Turn, Turn, Turn. Another Byrds album here, the Notorious Byrd Brothers. This album does not feature Gene Clark. It does feature David Crosby, but he wasn't in the band at this time, so he's not on the album cover. So you got the two brothers, and Roger McGuinn there on the front, and then you got them in the back. Cool album cover. I always like this album cover, and this has a couple covers on it, as most Byrds albums do. But this one, there's a cover by Carole King on here that I really like, called "Going Back," and "Wasn't Born to Follow." Carole King, and who else sings on that one? Anyways, love that song. It's on Easy Rider. It's on the movie Easy Rider. It's on the soundtrack. And this is a great album. Tribal Gathering, great song. Yeah, this is just a really, really good album. Not my favorite Byrds album either, but probably top three in my opinion. Top four. Great album. Love the album artwork. And yeah, the Notorious Byrd Brothers. So now we got The Clash, the first album by The Clash. I absolutely love this band. They're definitely one of my all-time favorite bands. This is their first album. Not my favorite album by them, but great album. You look at the track listing and it's just, it's great. This does not feature the song White Man and Hammersmith Palace. White Man and Hammersmith Palace. And because that was on the US version, actually, which I have a cassette of, which has that song on it, but this is the UK version. This is when they kind of had more of a punk sound, just the classic UK punk. They obviously remained with that sound until they broke up, but they obviously expanded into different sounds as the years went on. But this is a more punk oriented album, and I love this album, and I love this band, and this is The Clash, and you all know The Clash, you all love The Clash, probably. If you don't, then you got something wrong with you. I'm just joking. So this is Creedence Clearwater Revival, classic band. You all know this band. Green River, amazing album. It's one of those albums that's basically a greatest hits. You know, every song on it's beautiful. Every song on it was basically almost a single, aside from 2 of them, from what I can see. No, maybe 3, but it has some badass songs on it. This band, it was badass. Tombstone Shadow, I love that song. Sinister Purpose, absolutely badass song. Commotion, Green River, obviously, Lodi, Bad Moon Rising. Can't go wrong with this band or this album. And we segue into this record, which I was actually given recently by my grandmother from her collection, Best of Creedence Clearwater Revival, 20 super hits, as seen on TV. So I think it was some, some deal you could get if you call this number back in the day on the commercial. You call this number, you get this record for cheap. But I mean, it's great. It's got 20 songs, and as I mentioned, they're an all-time band, all-time classic. Everyone knows their songs. You could put this on at a barbecue, at a party, at a wedding, in the shower, at a funeral, and everyone's gonna love this. You know, it's Creedence. It's CCR. Nothing else needs to be said. Crosby, Stills, Nash. This album was a huge moment in my life when I heard this album. Going through a bit of a change in what I listened to. I love these guys, all 3 of them, so much. This record, every song on this record is life changing. I mean, I love this. I don't know what else to say about this record, but this hit me like a wall, you know. Obviously, before Neil Young joined the band, but and then you have Dallas Taylor here, the drummer, looking through the window like he wasn't invited to the party. He just wanted to be on the album cover. So they said, just look through that window and we'll take a picture of you. Anyways, I love this album. I mean, this album cover is an all-time classic. They're sitting in a coach in front of a house that was some old abandoned house, and then apparently they went back the next day and it was gone. So they basically took this picture the last day that they could at this house. Anyways, the songs on this album, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Marrakesh Express, You Don't Have to Cry, Pre-Road Downs, Wooden Ships, Long Time Gone, Helplessly Hoping. This album is, if you love classic rock, or any of these guys, Graham Nash, Stephen Stills, Dave Crosby, you love any of their bands, you love any of their music, and you have not heard this album, I'm at a loss for words, And then you got the big boy right here. You got Deja Vu. This was the record that I showed earlier that Bougie Boys covered the cover, or ripped off, or paid homage to the cover. Deja Vu. This album is, once again, like the other one, just knocked my socks off, changed my life. You got the inside of it here, all these beautiful pictures. I just love this album with everything in me, these songs, these guys. Neil Young is in the band now. You got Dallas Taylor here, once again. He's on the actual cover this time. And then you have Greg Reeves, who is the bass player, who is right here. This guy, they're all standing there. They got their guns. They got their dogs. This album cover is, it's famous. It's absolutely famous album cover. And this, I could go through the track listing here, but every song is just knock out of the park. There's not a bad song on this record, not even in the slightest. I absolutely love this album. Well, now that I say that, the final song on this album is called Everybody I Love You. Not a fan of that song. I easily could skip it every time. I've listened to it many times, but not my favorite song. So technically every song but that song is a knockout, but still there's worse songs out there. Anyways, Deja Vu, this album is golden standard for, you know, classic rock albums. So now we're into some newer stuff again. So this is a band called Cult of Youth. This album is called Love Will Prevail, and it was released on Sacred Bones Records. It's nothing on the back here, it's just a plain brown black. This is a good album by a great artist. His name is Sean. The guy's name in this band, his name is Sean something. This guy from New York. The label's from New York. Yeah, this is a good album. They're kind of like an folk punk, psychedelic-y, post-punky kind of band. I know it sounds ridiculous naming all those off, but yeah, this album actually is a lot. It's a bit more acoustic than their other songs. They released an album after this that was absolutely insane. It was way more rock oriented with like full band songs that I loved. This album has some full band stuff, but it's very, you know, like I said, it's subdued. It's you know, more reflective and introspective. Kind of the lyrics are very. It's like one guy. I think he. In the first album, he did all the instruments, and then this album, he got some friends to help him out, and then the third album, it's like a full band. But this sounds like a guy that kind of just did everything himself on this one as well. The songs are very just, you know. But I'm not saying that's not good. It's a great album. I haven't really kept up with this band that much, but I bought this when it came out in 2013, I want to say. 2012, 2013. Anyways, Cult of Youth. Worth checking out, definitely. So you got this guy here, y'all know him, David Bowie. I absolutely love this album. It's called Young Americans. Definitely a different sounding album than his other stuff. Obviously, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust has a very significant sound, but this album is more, it's almost like R&B, jazz, like soul stuff. Young Americans, the big singles off this album, Young Americans. You got a cover of Across the Universe with that he recorded, and you got Fame with John Lennon. Big song. But the song Win, the song Fascination, and the song Right. There's tracks 2, 3, and 4. Those songs just are, you know, those are very sexy songs. You know, like they're songs that kind of. They're essential, you know. They're really, they make you feel something. So great album. This album cover, I mean, I love that picture of him. He's just got the smoke in his hand. Great. And I got this record for $4, and it's in great condition. So I mean, you gotta love that, right? You gotta love getting this fucking record for $4. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Good band. Great guitar player. This song has quite a few singles on it. I mean, the first 3 songs, So Far Away, Money for Nothing, and Walk of Life. They're 3 of their biggest hits. I don't really listen to this record. I kind of just got it because I like the band, but it's not really something I typically put on. Anyways, I really I like these songs, but it's not something that you kind of just throw on that often. Walk of Life, I remember hearing that song when I was a kid on the radio, and I could not believe how cheesy it sounded. I literally thought to myself, this is hands down the cheesiest thing I've ever heard in my life. That synth, that everything about it, the drum beat, it just screamed cheesy mozzarella, cheddar cheese music to me. But hey, now that I'm older, I like that song, so, you know. So this is a band from Halifax called Dog Day. If you're from Halifax or even from Canada, you probably know this record. It's called Night Group, and this album took everyone by storm when it came out. It's hands down one of the best Halifax releases of all time. One of the best Canadian records of all time. So this drummer in this band at the time, he's actually back in the band. He left the band for a short while. He's back in it now. His name's KC. He's in the first record that I showed, Bad Vibrations. He's the guitar player in that band. He wrote some songs on this album. They actually did a cover of two of his older songs on this record, of his older bands. And now that I know those original songs, to go and listen to the versions on this record is insane, because I love both. I love both versions of the songs. The covers are completely different, yet they're still the same, you know. But anyways, this album, every song on it has its own thing. The first song on the record, Lydia, it's like a really short banger, pop, heavy rock song. Not heavy rock, but it's got a bit of a punk edge to it. And then that's the thing with this band. They're like a pop, alternative rock, college rock kind of sound, but then they have like an edge to them. But they're so catchy, and that's what's great about them. They're like a perfect pop rock band. And to someone that doesn't really listen to any kind of independent underground music, if you were like a strictly mainstream music listener, you could definitely still listen to this band. And this is almost like an entryway band. Like, you could listen to this band and, you know, be like, hey, now I kind of want to check out bands that sound like this. Hey, I want to check out. You get what I'm saying, you know. It's they're a band at the top of the food chain when it comes to indie rock, you know, pop rock, catchy bands. No matter where you're from, they're from Halifax. They're from my city that I live in, so that's crazy. And people all over the world know this band, so that shows you how good they are. So this is Easy Rider, big movie from the '60s. Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, Jack Nicholson, classic movie. I got this at the flea market right shortly after I saw the movie for the first time, and it has the song that I mentioned earlier, Wasn't Born to Follow by the Byrds, and it also has a song called The Pusher by Steppenwolf, which is a classic song. He's singing about popping a lot of pills and stuff in the song. It's just a very like sit back and light up a joint and kind of sit there puffing away listening to it kind of song. This whole album is really there's a song called Don't Bogart Me by the Fraternity of Men. It's a great song. There's a cover of The Weight by the band by a guy called Smith, which is a decent cover. And then you got a cover of If 6 Was 9. Or no, sorry, it's the song If 6 Was 9 by Hendrix. And then you got Ballad of Easy Rider by Roger McGuinn, which is another great song. Yeah, the album covers kind of, I don't know if this is actually the actual record that was released, or the actual album that was released, or if this is a re-release, but I don't know. I mean, this record definitely looks like it came out in, I want to say, the 70s. There's no date on it, actually. Not on the back, at least. But anyways, I feel like maybe the actual record had like imagery from the movie on it, I want to say. No, this says 1968, 69. 60. Yep. Oh, well, maybe this is the original. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. But classic movie, probably one of my favorite movies. Top 50 maybe. Top 50. So I'll try to speed this up a little bit. I feel like I'm dragging on certain songs. What else needs to be said about this record? I feel like if you don't own this record, you should have to pay a fine to government, because this is Rumours. And I don't need to say another word about this album, because everyone knows this album. Everyone knows every song on this album. Everyone probably knows every word to every song on this album. This album, if you don't like this album, you're not a human. I don't think you gotta be a mutant from another dimension. This album, on the other hand, by the same artist, Fleetwood Mac, The Ledge, double LP. This is a great album. This did not get anywhere near as much attention as Rumours. This came out after Rumours. The band was in turmoil, as everyone knows. A lot of drug usage. These songs are all over the place on this album. Some of them are weird and quirky and short. Some of them are typical long, kind of drawn out, jammy songs like early early Fleetwood Mac. But there's some perfect pop songs on this album. Some of them even sound like they could be right on Rumours. And beautiful songs on this album. Really emotional songs on this album. Really pumping songs. The song Tusk, obviously. Then you got Think About Me. You got The Ledge. Sarah. What Makes You Think You're the One. Sisters of the Moon. That's enough for me. I mean, this album, check it out. Great album. There's some really cool artwork actually in this album. That's a cool. I love this picture. That's a great picture there. You know, another great picture of the band right here. It's just a shame what happened, you know, with the band, and even present day, what's going on with them. You know, Lindsey Buckingham suing them over rights to songs, all that bullshit that no one ever wants to deal with when you're in a band. It's a shame, but at least we have the classics that we can go back and listen to. So, right here we have another all-time favorite band of mine, Fugazi. If you are into punk, alternative music, you probably know this band. You probably know the members of this band. You got Ian MacKaye, who was in Minor Threat. You have Guy Picciotto, who was in Rites of Spring. And you got the bass player and the drummer, Brendan Lally, and what's the other guy's name? Jojo. And this is Red Medicine. Awesome album. This band just gets you going. They fire on all cylinders. They're so cool. I love reading about this band. I feel like there's always things coming out about this band, or in different information, or different bits of trivia that you realize you didn't actually know. They're always up to something cool. They had such a cool mentality about them. The way they recorded music, the way they released music, the way they played shows, the way they wrote music, and what was so cool is they were always changing their sound to something different. They were always doing experimental shit. Anyways, Red Medicine. I love this album, and there's so many good songs in this album. And what we have up next is the final, so far to this date, the final Fugazi record called The Argument. This album is also amazing. Probably, I want to say top 3 Fugazi albums, but it might be my favorite, depending on the day you ask me. This was the band at the top of their game. You know, you think, oh, okay, they released this album and then they broke up. But you'd think, okay, maybe it's not as good as their early stuff when they were basically at the height of their being a band. But holy crap, like the songwriting and playing on this album, the production, it's an insane album. It came out in 2001. Back in a year when music was basically, there wasn't anything like this coming out in 2001. Let's put it that way. You know, like Limp Bizkit and the Hot Dog and the Chocolate Starfish was the top album basically at that moment, or Linkin Park or something like that. You know, like that was the music that people were really into, including myself, because I was 12 years old in 2001 and I didn't know good music. I didn't know Fugazi was a band when I was this old. So when this album came out, this album is incredible playing, incredible recording, incredible production, incredible songwriting. The Argument, if you haven't heard it, listen to it. Grey Matter. This came out by Discord. The guy who was in Fugazi, Ian MacKaye, ran Discord with some other people. They put this album out. It was produced by Ian MacKaye. He actually sings on a song in this album. So he sang on a song on this album that was put out on a re-release. So it was called Head. The song's called Head. It's not on this actual release of it. But this album's called Grey Matter. This band's called Grey Matter. The album's called Food for Thought. That is the band in the back there. The album cover is awesome. I mean, it's like a really cool, looks like something from a comic book or graphic novel. Classic punk band. Came out in 1985. The songwriting and the lyrics on this album are amazing. They do a cover of I'm the Walrus, which is kind of funny. You think, what the hell? But then you listen to it. It's awesome, and the way the song builds up at the end, like in the original song, is awesome. Yeah, and this guy's had so much cool energy and attitude, and this album, if you are remotely into punk, this album is amazing, and you will not regret listening to it at all. So here we got an all-time classic from Canada. This is American Woman by the Guess Who. What else needs to be said about this band and this song and this album? No Time, No Sugar Tonight, New Mother Nature. Great great album by some cool guys back in the day. American Woman. Here we got Sports by Huey Lewis and the News. Another album. This kind of goes along with the Dire Straits one I mentioned earlier. I like this band. I like this album, but it's not something I typically put on. I put it on before at a party and stuff, and there's some great songs in this album. You know, you got The Heart of Rock and Roll, I Want a New Drug, Walking on a Thin Line, If This Is It. Classic songs, you know, songs you hear on the radio when you were a kid, or when I was a kid. Yeah, just kind of like bop around, catchy songs that kind of fun to laugh at and kind of fun to sing along to. Yeah, classic than that album cover. I mean, it's just, and the guy in the back, the bartender, you know. Sports. So here's a classic album by a classic band. Another classic punk band that was released through Discord. This is Zen Arcade by Husker Du. Double LP. Not my favorite Husker Du album, but definitely top 3. There's some crazy songs on this album. The song Reoccurring Dreams is basically like punk rock psychedelia. And Hare Krishna. But then you got some classic punk songs, some classic pop songs on this album. And you got some really heavy duty stuff on this album, which is not unlike the band, but yeah, this was the first record, the only record I owned by Husker Du, and I wanted to buy it because I knew how important this album was, and I didn't know the other ones as much when I bought this one, but now after I bought it, I realized this is not my favorite Husker Du album. I probably would have gotten a different one if there was another selection there, which I can't remember if there was at the time. But I don't regret buying this at all. That's not what I'm saying. So, love this album. And like I said, looking at the track list, there's some crazy songs on this album, and there's some classic songs. I take back everything I said about this album just a second ago. I love this album. I don't regret buying it at all. Classic album. Blood Visions by Jay Reatard. Excuse me. I'm so happy that I got to see this guy play live. I saw him in Halifax at the Pop Explosion at the Marquee in October of 2008. And it was an insane show. He had the most crazy energy I've ever seen. No bullshit. No screwing around. Just get out there and play your fucking music. And when you're done, you fucking leave. No fucking around in between songs. No bantering with the crowd. No nothing. Just rock music. And this album... it's insane. Like, it's an incredible album. Every song on it, it's like as soon as one song is done, the next one is just basically has his foot on the pedal, raring to go. It's so fast. It's so furious. Apparently he played every instrument on this album aside from a couple. I can see that someone played bass on a few, but apparently he played everything on this album. The drumming is insane. The guitar playing is insane. The vocals. There's some really hardcore, angry songs on this album, and then there's some like really, emotional, deep lyrical content on this album. And the fact that the man passed away 2.5 years after I saw him, going back and listening to his music, it's just crazy to think about what he could have put out after, later in life. He released an album after this called Watch Me Fall, which is an incredible album as well. A bit more poppy, a bit more polished. I would love to know what kind of music he'd be putting out now. So it's very sad that he passed away. And that album needs to be heard by any music lovers because it'll knock your socks off straight up. Okay, so we're into J territory here. So this will be the last letter that I tackle. I have a couple more left. J.J. Cale, really. I absolutely love this album. This was the first record I heard by J.J. Cale, the first I've ever heard of him. Look at this classic picture of him on the back there. That's probably got to be the most famous, coolest picture of him. This album is recorded really cool. It came out in 1972, and this man was covered multiple times by Eric Clapton. He is a classic. And his music, it just has like a very old school, old fashioned sound to it. The drum beats are very like organic sounding. Everything's so organic in this. His singing is really subdued, and he just has a very unique sound to everything he's put out. And his music is just it has energy, but it's like very chill. You put it on while you're driving, you put it on while you're just around the house. You know, having a beer, drinking, whatever. It's just, there's some such good grooves in this song, in this music, like the drum beats in some songs, the bass, just check this album out, really. You will not regret J.J. Cale. I got another J.J. Cale record here called Shades. I got both of these records actually at a flea market for a really good price. I was stoked to find them. I think I got this, actually, really, I think I got that at a record fair. I got this one at a flea market. Another great record by the guy. Here's another cool picture of him on the back there, sitting on some steps. This album has the song on the first called Carry On. Really good song. Wish I Had Not Said That. That's a famous one. Great album. He has multiple other great albums, but this is a really good one too. So that's called Shades. And the first J.J. Cale record I bought when I first heard his record was this. It's called Special Edition J.J. Cale. It's basically a greatest hits. It has his big hits. It has Cocaine. It has After Midnight. You know, the two songs popularized by Eric Clapton. Anyways, this is the greatest hits. It's a really good album. There's like a little paragraph, a little write-up about him on the back here, which is really cool. I enjoyed reading it when I first got it. Great artist, J.J. Cale. Rest in peace. So, we got a really good album here called Double Fantasy by a man you all know, John Lennon, and his partner Yoko Ono. So this record has songs sung and written by both of them on it. Great album. This has some of my favorite John Lennon songs, period, on it. And some beautiful songs by Yoko. And yeah, this album, it came out after he died. It's insane. I was not alive in 1980, so I can't imagine the reaction that was when this album was released. Obviously, it sold like crazy. Great picture on the back here of them standing on the street. Love this album. Love John Lennon's music. Yeah, just this insanely good album. And we're not saving the best for last here, but one of my favorite records that I've heard of the past couple years, Court and Spark by Joni Mitchell. I found this in the deep bowels of a record bin at a market in Dartmouth, which is near Halifax it's right across the harbor from Halifax. This was the first Joni Mitchell record I heard, and I fell in love with it. It has some of my favorite songs from her on it. I absolutely love the song People's Parties, Car on a Hill, and then you got Help Me and Free Man in Paris, two big songs of hers. You got a song on here with Cheech and Chong on it, actually, called Raised on Robbery, which has them on it kind of talking. It's kind of a funny song. Anyways, absolutely love this album. The artwork is just, it's a painting that she did. You can't really see it that well, but really cool artwork. Really cool artist. Love Joni Mitchell, and this is an all-time record of hers. You probably heard it if you are aware of her music, you probably know this album. So, that is the first part of my record video. I'll do a part 2. Let me know what you think, and if you found anything cool in this pile, that's great, and I hope you found something new, and I also hope that you enjoy the video. And thanks for watching. My name's Justin. See you later.